We met with Bishop Joseph Naumann a couple of weeks ago, and it was a pleasurable conversation. And I asked Joseph Naumann to bring a reflection for us on justice. And so, Bishop Naumann, would you please do so?
Yes,
Archbishop Naumann.
thanks, Bishop Science, and we're grateful to you and Bishop Candia for being co-chairs of this, and it's a privilege to be able to speak to this august group today. I think what we're about is very important for the health of our community, and that the churches and all faith groups have an important role to play in the health of our broader communities. In talking with the mayor of Kansas City, Kansas recently, he said that he felt that the reason why perhaps Kansas City, Kansas has not experienced some of the civil unrest of other communities was really the leadership of the pastors in the Wyandotte region, and the constructive ways that they tried to channel the desire for changes in a constructive way and not a destructive way. But, you know, I think all of our faith traditions have a lot in common in terms of the principles that we hold. And Bishop Sines had asked me to talk a little bit from the Catholic perspective of our social justice teaching. In the Catholic tradition, there's four basic principles that underlie our work for justice. And the first of those is the dignity of the human person, that we believe that every person is made in the image of God. And moreover, as Christians, we believe that every person is of such worth that Jesus Christ gave his life on Calvary. And so that every human being deserves respect as one made in the image of God, one that Jesus Christ gave his life for. And this is where, for instance, sins of racism are really an affront to God, in addition to the injustice that they cause to the individuals that are the subject of racism or bigotry or discrimination. The sanctity of human life also would come under this principle. The second principle in our tradition would be the common good, that we have a responsibility to work for the common good, to work for the social conditions that really allow individuals to thrive. And also, we believe that the basic cell of the human community is the family. And so whatever we can do to strengthen and build up family life, and of course, marriage is the foundation of the family, whatever we can do to strengthen marriage helps to build that common good. But that we must have a concern for not just for our own personal welfare, not just for our own self-interest, but for the interest of the broader community. The third principle is one that sometimes isn't as commonly articulated, I guess, in some traditions, but it's of subsidiarity, that we need to try to address at the lowest level, closest to the people, the solutions to community problems. And so I think that, again, would underline the importance of what we're about here today, that if we locally within our communities, our counties, can address those problems, they're best resolved here without having the federal government necessarily be the solution to problems. One of the things in our tradition is a concern against what some would call statism, where we over-empower the state to be the solution to everything. And so subsidiarity really talks about trying to solve issues and problems at the level closest to those that are experiencing those problems. obviously, sometimes we need to bring in the broader community to effectively address them, but we should always try to keep as much as we can our efforts local. And then a complementary fourth principle would be solidarity. That we are our brother's keeper. If we would look to the scriptures, that we have to have a concern not just for ourselves, not just for our own family, not just for our own ethnic group, but we have a broader solidarity with the human community. And underneath that, we would talk about a preferential option for the poor, that they have a special claim on the hearts of believers, those that for a variety of reasons may be on the term that Pope Francis often uses, on the peripheries, on the outside of the society. And so that we have to have this common desire to serve them. So I think all of those four principles really feed into very much, I think, what we're about here today, to, as leaders of faith communities, to see how we can work together, always for the good of the dignity of the human person, to stand for their innate dignity. We also have a belief in what we call natural law, that these things are not just accessible to people of faith. Our revelation helps us with this, but they are truths that are available, accessible to us for reason as well. And that's kind of the basis underneath, for instance, documents like the Declaration of Independence really were a codification and at some level of some natural law principles, and one of those would be the rights of the individual, the right of the human person. We're about coming together to work for the common good. I think we're working locally, and I think one of the, I was a pastor in St. Louis, and I know part of the methodology here is first to listen to the people, to hear what their concerns are, what are the issues that they really feel, and to listen first before we go about acting. And again, I think that ties into the subsidiarity. And we're here today because we can't just be concerned about our own communities, our own churches, our own congregations, our own parishes, but we are our brother's keeper. We have a responsibility to the broader community. So those are the things I wanted to share with you today. And again, it's a privilege to be with you. And I know a number of our pastors have mentioned to me how excited they are about this initiative and hopeful. I really think initiatives like this can be the antidotes to some of the tragic unrest in some communities that we're seeing today across the United States. And so I'm excited about the possibilities that this group brings. Thanks, Bishop Saenz.
Archbishop Naumann, thank you so much for that reflection and for being with us this morning.